everybody. This is Nicholas Tannick. This is Your Kinky Friends. And this is the magnificent Sissy Nicole. Say hello.
Hello. Hello, everybody.
Tell us about who you are and what you do, where you are, and what you're doing.
I always hate those questions. I don't know why. It's like because I know I have to explain at one point, but it's like, how do I explain it? It's like, well, basically, I'm Sissy Nicole. My real name is Nick. Not much creativity going on there. We're transitioning. I am a gender fluid pansexual sissy with other titles such as demisexual and sexual attraction to femininity and stuff like that. I've been dressing since I was 5 years old, came out in my teens, and I didn't start exploring the sissy side till 2 years ago now, I believe.
So how did this all start? You said you started as a teenager, and most cross-dressers, they sneak into their parents or their sisters. Or
Well, I actually started dressing at the age of 5. I blame television, which is always a good start. So during the 90s, like a lot of TV shows, I noticed always had one cross-dressing episode. Every TV show has at least one cross-dressing episode. And I was like watching and go, why is this a thing? And I was like, what's so much fun about this? Because there's always seems to be like, when the character's doing it, there's the thrill, the excitement of the discretion and trying not to be caught and stuff like that. It's like, what is this about? And then at the same time, you know, I was dressed quite bland as a child, and my sister wore like lots of floral, colourful stuff, and I would notice this all the time, and I'm like, what's the difference? And then one day I just went, let's just go and do it. And I wait till my sister was out, snuck into her room, and then put on her stuff, and it was just like that. It was the Big Bang moment.
I was just watching, and I was talking to one of the technical consultants. I'm friends with one of the technical consultants on Preaching to the Perverted, which is I find a very interesting movie. I think that I think BDSM, especially sissification and feminization or cross-dressing, you know, should be portrayed, you know, not only realistically but also in a positive way. It should be in movies, and certain movies like that, they are. I think they are, compared to a lot of other stuff.
I mean, I can't. I mean, there are some sissification films like that. I can't remember their name specifically, but I get what you're saying. It's like it is quite portrayed in a negative way, but it's like you either see it happening in the negative way or you see the end result where the trauma's there, and it's like you never. There's. And I guess that many ways you kind of don't want to see the journey. A lot of the time, like there used to be like a great online magazine called Petticoat Discipline Quarterly, I think it was called. Sadly, the person who owns it has passed away now. But like, you'd see all these stories of real life events, and it was always like, I didn't want it, and now I want it. It's like you never see like, but like in films, it just says, I didn't want it, I still don't want it, and it's like that continuous ideal that it's a form of abuse when it really isn't, because a lot of the time it's just what always makes me laugh about forced feminization is that when you read the stories, it's like, yeah, there is the element of force in there, but then as a person who wants to do it, you don't have to be forced.
Yeah.
And when you look at the reality of it, like, for example, I mean, I made a TikTok which is like my most liked TikTok, and it was kind of taking the mick out of that. And it was saying that, you know, I had to sit here while you shaved me, you did my makeup, you did my hair, you picked the right clothes in my size, you made sure they... And it's like, it's not spontaneous as you wish it would be.
Yeah. I want to talk about that. Let's talk about the image and look and stuff like that. It takes time, money, effort to look the way you do. And I've seen, you know, I'm friends with sissies, you know, it takes time and effort for them to look as good as that, you know, as good as they do and stuff like that. So take us through the process.
Shaving is the longest process in the entirety of it, and it's just, I think, because I've got dark hair naturally and it grows really fast. So the day before, I do the full body shave, and then on the day itself I do the facial shave last, because I have incredibly sensitive skin. And if I get that wrong, well, that's the day ruined. There's the primer, there's the concealers, there's the tone correction. Oh dear, it could take up to like 3 hours.
Now, would you say these days, are you fully feminized, like 24/7.
So when you say force, I mean, am I dressed all the time?
Are you
Is
dressed
that what
all
you're
the time?
saying?
Yeah. Are you feminine 24/7? Are you on fem?
Well, I wear laundry 24/7, but I'm not fully dressed all the time. But the sissy is specifically for special occasions because it's just when I was younger, because I spent a lot of time dressing on my own, I kind of got sick of it, and I was like, if I'm gonna go out, if I want to do something more than just get dressed up and sit around and do nothing. And when I got the dress, it was like, you have got to be active when wearing this dress. It's like, this is where your energy is coming from, and it's like, you can't just put this on and sit around and do nothing. Otherwise, it's a waste of a dress. So it's like, whenever I wear it, there has to be a purpose to it, whether to make a video, to go live, or to go out.
Yeah, I understand. Now, do you get kind of over, because I could see, especially being in the kink scene and being out, right? It can get overwhelming. There are so many beautiful people, right? And they got everything, they got their lives together. A lot of the sissies are like, it's like, how much time did you spend looking like that? You know, getting the finest dresses, the finest makeup, and all that stuff. Does that become daunting?
In the beginning, it was. I mean, when I actually wanted to explore the sissy side, I was 18. And it became, because the problem I had was there was always a daunting experience even before the sissy. Like I mean, obviously now it's called gender fluid. Back then it was transvestite, and it was like, you know, even dressing up then was a daunting experience because there was this hierarchy system, and it was like there was a lot of like, if you don't look a particular way, you can't be a part of this. But the problem was, I didn't know how to be a part of it or how to look at it. And like when you would ask people, they'd be like, "We'll figure it out," and it's like not helpful.
Yeah.
So when Sissy came along, it was like, it was very much, for Sissy, it was very straightforward. You know, you knew the styles, you knew where to go, and it was just about practice. But you are right, when it comes to the dress and stuff, it is kind of a money game. You know, it's like you gotta have a certain amount of money to buy it to be a sissy. I mean, I believe in terms of like how we look at it in terms of the archetype. I mean, you can be a sissy like by wearing just pink clothing. You can wear a sissy. You can be a sissy, but like if you want to be seen as the archetype, it does cost money.
Did you? Okay, now let's put it this way. I'm sure you've been through this. You've been through a purge.
No,
Where
I have never.
You never had
never
to like
been.
throw away all your stuff.
Nope. Because I started buying stuff when I was on 15, and I'd heard about purges. I'd heard about people like, I don't know what it is for me. I mean, it could be the fact that I might have undiagnosed autism. I don't understand. Obviously, I understand that people purged for their discretion and the safety of being found out, and sometimes it's that guilt side of things, especially if you come from like strong certain backgrounds. But it's like, for me, when I was doing it, I was like, I was wearing other people's clothes till I was 15, and I was just like, if I'm going to do this, I have to make sure I don't back out of it. And I just got good at hiding things. Yeah, there's literally no going back. You know, many people say, "Oh, I can stop any time." It's like, well, there's the addiction again. It's like anybody can stop at any time, but you don't have to, like an alcoholic who stops drinking is not cured. They're still an alcoholic. Once it's there, it ain't going, and it's like, and it's there for you for life, and that's not a bad thing. And I think that's the way we look at it, is like, these kind of addictions aren't a negative thing.
That's why I really love what you're doing. I'm a fan of yours. You know, I see you on TikTok, see you on Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that. And you know, it's one of those things, like, you're living a happy life in this. You're not a sad sissy. You know, you're not a sad cross-dresser. You're usually smiling, and you know, I'm sure there are people out there who are watching your work and your content and stuff like that, who secretly, deeply, secretly wish to live that lifestyle, to be that free, to be that open.
The thing is, like, obviously, like my male life is a bit complicated at times, but that's just any person's life. But like, I see that when I am Nicole, I am this is a whole different person. I don't want that bleeding into that world, because then it taints it slightly. It's like, it's, you know, because like, I suffer from depression. I suffer, like, you know, there was at some points where like I thought I might be trans, because during that time, like, there was a lot of like talk about, this is when the first time the transgender umbrella was coming in. Everybody was thinking they were this, that, and the other, and I thought, well, maybe I'm trans. But because when I started going down that road was a very depressing road, and I was like, that's not me. This is not who Nicole is. And it's not to be mean to anybody, but it's like when I see a lot of TikTok content from trans people or crushes or anything like that, there is always a sense of dread and always a sense of doom. And I get that. People's lives are difficult, and sometimes we just want to vent. But we also need to find the light sometimes. There needs to be a light to the end of this tunnel. And that's the way I see it, is like, my content is, I'll talk about, sometimes they'll say, tell me about a crappy experience, and I'll go, okay, well, this happened to me. But then it always, like, we go all the way down, but we have to come back up in the end. Every time. It's like the first time I ever did Sissy, I got a massive emotional rush from it.
Oh, what was the very first time you were out as a sissy in front of somebody?
Well, it was like the first time just dressing up. It was like literally, I bought this dress, it came in the post, and I went the full hilt. I had no idea how I was going to look in this dress, but I was kind of making it up as I went along. We kind of just went, okay, so this dress is just kind of thin. Let's put these petticoats through it. Let's do this. And then, like, the moment I got dressed up, like, even my partner said this. Like, she put the wig on me, and she said that the person that was there before was completely gone. And that was literally, she was like, oh, hello, who are you? And it's like this whole, it became such a shower of my old self gone. And it was like, there's such a wave of emotions that it was like walking on air. It was almost like the first time you dress, but except this was like this is more like this was who you were. And it's like, there's like a strong emotional connection to this for me. But I want to keep it positive because it's like, this is a beautiful thing.
So when it comes to like transformation and transitioning and stuff like that, are you going to is hormones or surgery or anything? Is that the path that you're considering, or you considered, or you're not going to go, or like?
Not really, no.
You're staying where you're staying as you are now. You're staying the beautiful and sissy Nicole you are now. In other words.
Yeah, I'm happy where I am. I mean, awesome. when I started, because I started going to a gender clinic when I was about 25. Because a lot of people said, "Oh, go on hormones, get the operation and stuff like that." And the more I thought, it was like, it was a possibility. But then as I started going down the road more and started looking at where I was coming from and where I was going to, I realized it just wasn't for me. And it's like, I'm comfortable with who I am, and it's like, and it's a thing with like, I'm comfortable with who I am, and I'm happy to express myself in this way, because I couldn't do this 24/7. I would just collapse. It's just.
I assume it's exhausting, and it's also
it is very exhausting. I mean, normally I'm quite like, it's worth it. That's the thing. It's like, I live a very isolated life currently, and it's like, the only time I do anything involving people is doing live streams or anything like that. But it's obviously there's the anxiety of like, but I have to like pump all this confidence into me before I even start. And it's like every layer I put on, it's like doing that every time, just pumping it up. And then you appear, and it can't go down until you say.
All right. Speaking of pumping, do you have a certain ritual when you start to get? When I say pump, I mean get your adrenaline, get your mind racing, which may get you in the mood.
It always depends, really. I mean, it's anything I just like. I mean, I have on my Spotify, I have a sissy playlist, which is like, ABBA, Spice Girls, those kind of things. Just anything girly, just to kind of stuff that I wasn't allowed to be proud of liking in my childhood. It's like, because like Spice Girls was the big thing when I was growing up, and like everybody liked it, but if I liked it, it was seen as weird because I was that person. So like when I listen to it, it's kind of like you're kind of using that to like go, yeah, fuck you. It's like the whole like, it's again, it's like, come on, trauma, let's have some rides.
So okay, so you like myself, I am openly a kinky person. There's no going back. I've interviewed people all around the world. My friends and family know what I do, and my kinky friends have become my friends and family. I'm very fortunate to be around, and I surround myself with people who are supportive of me. Not everybody is like that. Like I said, I'm very fortunate. How have your friends and family dealt with, or reacted, not dealt, but reacted to everything that's going on with you?
Well, when I came out of 15, it was met with more negative than positive, mainly because nobody was expecting it, which is really surprising. Because I don't know, it just seemed like you'd never be that type of person. It's like, well, you never got to know me, so that's your problem. And
Me?
it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's like, there were signs. Like I remember a friend of mine, I couldn't tell, like my best friend, I couldn't tell my best friend, and I said, I need you to guess. I said, if you guess, it makes it easier for me. And he spent half an hour going through like the stupidest things. At one point, he said, are you a neo-Nazi? And I went, what part said neo-Nazi to you? And he's just like, well, I don't know. It's like, I'm a cross-dresser. And I went, oh, I would have never guessed that. And I went, well, you thought neo-Nazi? And it was kind of like a lot of it, like, because I tried to do a slow reveal, but being a teenager and having friends with no trust in them, they basically went around the house and told everybody. But like I told my mother first, and she laughed in my face for 10 minutes. But around the same time, one of my friends told his friends who was this is a great circle. So my dad is a lawyer, and basically my friend told his friend who was the son of a client of my dad, and they were in the car and they were on the car together, and that's when it hit. And he came back effing and blinding about all this stuff and didn't talk to me for about 2 to 3 weeks.
Now, and it comes to, and this is a broad general expression. Like I said, every cross dresser is different. But like, let's say hypothetically, there is the spectrum where one end is the very proper sissy, the very, very proper, elegant, sophisticated, mannerly, efficient. And then on the other side of the spectrum, there's the slut, the sissy slut. If you were going to say at one pole to the other, which one do you fall in towards more?
The thing is, all sissies are sluts.
Okay.
It's just how we present ourselves, and it's like, and that's the thing. That's not mean because I mean, obviously, there's a sense of like, obviously, when you talk about chastity and domination, there is an element of asexuality to sissies.
Mm-hmm.
But like, but we are all secretly sluts. We're sluts for attention. We're sluts for like, we're sluts for the spotlight as well as the obvious, and it's like. I mean, obviously, I know what you're saying. Like, there's obviously the cock goblins on the far end. I shouldn't call them, but it is like that, yeah. And then of course you've got the.
I'm gonna use that term today, like out of nowhere, out of the blue, just like I like Melissa, who's sick. I'm gonna make her some tea because she's sick, and I'll be like, "Here you go, you cock goblin, just to see what she says."
but of course, then you get to decide where they're still hankering for it, but it's like they're trying to be innocent about it, which I guess is me in that way, because like I'll make a cheeky comment every so often, but like I always try and be the most delicate I can be.
Okay, so you're on TikTok, you're on Instagram, you're on Twitter. There are people coming to you, and as someone who now, even though you are, let's say, taken, right, or owned, correct, right? I'm sure you get scammers, catfishes, bots.
The thing is, what I like doing is being as vague as possible. It's good to be vague because you can learn pretty quickly. It's like they'll go, "Hi, how are you?" And it's like then they go, "Where are you from?" And then and I'll just say the UK, because if you say like an area you're in close by, they will knock it down. They'll have a thing checking and making sure you get down as close as possible. I mean, my favorite one was always when I said I'm from the UK, and they said, what state are you in? And I said, Boston. And they're just like, oh yeah, I love Boston. I go there all the time. And it's like, no, you don't. I would love to see a statistic where this works and where it doesn't work, because
I know, right? I'm like, how does that function? I think
it
it's I
makes
think
it makes sense when you get phone calls from people saying stuff like, cars extended warranties, you want some life insurance. Those kind of things make sense. But like you're saying to somebody, I want to dominate you and I have no evidence of my existence, but give me money. It's like, that doesn't make sense.
do you think because of being Sissy and Nicole, is a thing about sexuality and sex in general, people automatically assume that you just want to like suck their cocks or be treated as a sissy or be told, or you're just engaged in that kind of.
A lot of the time, like, I don't like using the word, but like cis people, cis people who are masking as cis people anyway. It's like they will come and they will say like, oh yeah, you want to suck my dick, and I'm like, no. It's like, but then sometimes you get people who seem to not understand that sissies aren't dominant, and they seem to think that when they look at you and you look at your content, you're the type of person who's going to dominate someone, and it's like, I can't dominate crap. It's that whole thing of like, I would love to come over and you dress me up. It's like, well, that's never going to happen because I'm here for a mutual thing. It's like, if we have a mutual connection, then maybe I will allow you access to my stuff, but I'm not going to be like, yes, sir, please, making you call me yes, mistress, and all this shit. It's like, I'm not that type of person.
So what about other sissies? Do you get sissies? I'm sure you get messages from other sissies, either for advice, I would think. And it's, please let me know if I'm wrong, or let me know if you want to add.
No, you are right. I get very.
But you get like solicitations, like them wanting to jerk off together, so to speak, or like would think that you would want to be doing sissy stuff together.
So every sissy I've talked to, there hasn't never really been the discussion of mutual masturbation. It's always wearing cages. It's like always the chastity aspect comes into it. It's like, but yeah, I get ones asking me for advice, and I do my best to give it back. But a lot of the time, they see something in my content and they want to share their experiences with me, and then we have a bit of a back and forth about that. And then sometimes I found quite early on, is that a lot of people like talking to me because I'm so down to earth about the subject. Because a lot of the time they get people talking to them, and they're all like, they're already picking from the fantasy tree, and they're making up stories that sound amazing. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you don't need to be that. I mean, you can still do amazing things.
You said that you dealt with depression yourself. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with the anxiety and stress or depression? Like, because it's chemical, it is.
It is chemical, yeah. And so the thing is with Sissy is like, when I'm a male, I get depressed, I get stressed, I have a huge anxiety problem, but that stemmed from my childhood. It's not like, whereas most people suffered with isolation and anxiety during COVID, I thrived on it. But it's like, when I do Sissy, because I'm so proud of my Sissy side, I'm so passionate about my Sissy side, I learned very quickly to not let anybody get to me about it.
I'm in the same mentally, yeah.
Like, if you anybody who might, I don't know how many people are watching this right now or anything like that, but basically there might be some people who have been to my TikTok lives. I am just a fireball of insults, because it's just, I want nothing. My stream's about positivity. My content's about positivity. So if anybody comes in, I've got all the comments. You've got no father. I wish you were dead. You should be dead kids. Check his hard drive. These kind of silly comments. But it's like, I'm so past that point now that I'm just like, you are just worthless. And it's just, the moment the stress is on, it's that whole thing is like, there is nothing going to hurt me in this situation. And it's like, and it's the pumping of the energy in. And it's like, it's turning their negativity into energy. And then bringing it back out as a positive. But like, before Sissy, Yeah, I used to. There used to be a lot of anxiety, and like, people gatekeeping, people judging me because I didn't look a particular way. Saying you can't come here because you don't look this particular way. Maybe if you actually tried harder, and all these kind of things. And I used to get all sorts of comments, and like, I've been threatened. I've had situations where I've actually met other cross-dressers and they've gone loopy and tried to hurt me. But like those were hard times. I mean, I never once my depression involving my dressing has only been a sense of what am I? Where am I going with this? Like when I was at university, I lived in Cambridge for 4 years when I was at university, and I was trying so hard to be who I wanted to be, but there was so much anxiety in there that there was this constant backwards and forwards about it.
Mhm.
And it was mainly as what is my identity? Because I was trying so hard to find who I was at university that I completely missed all the points. And I feel like if I hadn't had that, I might have been a sissy sooner.
So what would you do? Because a lot of these people, I know a lot of people. I was one of these people. I'm sure you were one of these people at one point too in your life. What do you do? What do you tell someone who's scared, who is scared, who is secretly a cross-dresser, who is terrified of either their parents, their brothers, their sisters, their teachers, their colleagues, or their fellow students, of finding out, and or just scared to even do it, scared to.
If you're too scared of doing it, then wait until you can. Like a lot, like I got this asked questions once. Like somebody still, well, I think about 15, and they were still at home, and they wanted to do it, but they were too scared of people finding out. And they said, should I just tell people now and get it out of the way, or should I wait until I have my own place? And I was like, wait till you have your own place, because if you're not in a safe space, you can't enjoy it. If you're I was the same as like I kind of the only reason I came out was because I was sick of hiding.
Mhm.
I could not see the logic of it because I talked to people whose marriages had fallen apart, people who were too scared to tell people, like, and then 20 years later they tell them out of the blue and they wonder why it's all gone to pot. And it's like, I mean, everybody's different, everybody has different experiences. There's like that 10% that have a very positive outcome. And then there's the 90, which is just a hellfire. I'm in that part. It's taken a long time to come out from that mire. Talk to people online, make friends, find people who are local that are safe to be around, and go and do it with them. Experience it with somebody who is already comfortable doing it. Like the first time I went out, I was about 18, and I'd been talking to somebody online who lived all the way in England, and they said, come on down, we'll do some dressing up, and we'll go from there. And I was like, okay. And this was a woman. This was a woman. So basically, I stayed. They dressed me up, and they were like, okay, we're going out now. And it's like, what? It's like, yeah, we're going to go for a walk. We're going to do what? No, I don't want to do that. And it's like, no, you'll be fine. And they dragged me out the door. That's not a good experience, in my opinion. I mean, I got over it very quickly, but there are many people who might not experience it better than others. It's all about, at the end of the day, it's about consent and communication. And there are people who will just go, they'll just pump all that energy up and then go straight out the door. They're amazing people, but not everybody is like that. And it's just about keep yourself safe and just be smart about it. I mean, I remember the first time I went out as a sissy. I was meeting somebody who said they were a dom, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna get you to pose in this place and this place and take all these pictures and all this lot." And then when I got there, they were essentially a pussycat. They were more terrified of being in public than I was terrified.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize this until I'd spent like half an hour getting ready in a public toilet, putting all this on, and then they're coming out and then saying, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I'm stuck here in the middle of Manchester in the sissy dress, and they're now wanting me to take control. And in that case, it's like you had to again pump all the energy up, and it was fun, but it ruined the experience I was expecting. So that was very hard. But like again, it's that whole thing of sometimes you got to take the bull by the horns. But if you're not that strong, then just wait.
So, Sissy Nicole, this has been an absolute pleasure to talk with you. Yeah. Sorry, we have reached the end. But yeah, go to yourkinkyfriends.com and support Sissy Nicole. Support Sissies. It's great. It's a wonderful culture. They're wonderful, creative people. Support sissies. I love sissies. I love sissy culture, and Sissy Nicole is magnificent. Happy Halloween, everybody. Take care.
Bye bye. So let's just turn the camera on. So you've got a pink layer, white layer, and another white layer.